Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Michael, for your generous introduction. It's been a great pleasure to be able to work with you in the last few years, and I look forward to further collaboration with you wherever you are, whatever you do. I know you'll never stop. As you have said, my research has covered a wide range of research areas. However, in the last 20 years or so since I came to Australia, my research has always focused on Chinese language, digital media and communication. Particularly in the last 10 years, the focus has always been on digital culture, digital platform, digital technologies, and social implications of Chinese digital revolution. For today's talk, we'll be looking at actually from, I think I better lay out the framework, my understanding of cultures of TikTok before I actually zoom in to look at TikTok and its platform geopolitics. So my understanding of culture actually is, as a consequence, I'll just bring out my share screen, my PowerPoint for now. Oh, can I share my screen? No, the host has disabled screen sharing. Can I share the screen?
Yes, one moment. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'll just keep talking. So the culture, I argue that culture can be the effect, not the cause of cultural values. And the platform culture is the consequence of the mega structure. And the changes in cultural values we're now observing in China are due to the country's economic growth, technological development, and the softening and often hardening, and now the hardening of its totalitarian governance. The faster cultural exchange among the technological savvy people and in urban areas appear as a result of platform via its algorithms and technological affordances and the fast economic growth in those cities. Okay, so now I bring out my PowerPoint. Here we are. Okay, so we're already there to look at culture's consequences and how platforms should be viewed as a mega structure that has two major components, a occupational infrastructure and also as a new governing architecture. And platform, I view platform as a technological and social systems that generate platform surplus, support markets, enable non-market forces and relations, and allow complexity as well, such as user and community identities to emerge. They are also about governance and as such resemble states and therefore cannot get away from geopolitics. And as the platforms grow and the control over trade in services and goods are shifting to digital platforms, the countries actually increasingly adopt platform strategies. So in the Chinese case, for example, as platforms companies like Alibaba, Tencent, etc., increasingly think like countries and can directly compete with countries in the ability to enable small and medium-sized enterprises in individual nation states. So countries like China have taken the platform strategies in the global geopolitics. So that's the big conceptual framework of my research into the cultures of platforms or platform cultures in general. So now I'll just quickly go through the TikTok saga and how I use the stories about TikTok to illustrate the points that I just mentioned. So it is important to bear in mind that TikTok is a digital platform owned and backed by ByteDance, an AI-powered super tech company, a global and advertising juggernaut, and an important player in the geopolitics of digital technologies and power. The stories about TikTok are hence as much about platform governance as about global economics and the politics. Okay, so if any publicity is good publicity, then 2020 has been TikTok's year. We know we've heard so many stories about TikTok, particularly the potential ban in the US. Headlines include privacy breaches, the banning of the app in India, along with 58 other Chinese apps, and et cetera, et cetera. And now ByteDance is now forced to sell TikTok, but we don't know how it's going, but we know finally things are going to settle very soon. In Australia, we know this Made in China app has been under increasing scrutiny as well from Australian government and media. Well, at the end of July 2020, TikTok, along with Facebook, Twitter, and Google, was asked to front a Senate inquiry into foreign interference conducted on social media platforms through misinformation. So we know TikTok, WeChat, and many other Chinese apps are all waiting the way to be under increasing scrutiny. In response to such scrutiny, TikTok has repeatedly declared its disassociation with Beijing and try to de-Sinicize itself as a global economy and try to adopt globalization strategies. Since 2019, TikTok has started to issue the transparency report. As you can see, this is a 2019 transparency report to see which country has requested content moderation or removal, and how many of them and how many requests have been dealt with, and how many accounts have been specified. And TikTok in particular has made it clear they received no censorship or information request from the CCP, while the US made a lot. India and the US, Japan made a lot. So I won't go into details of that. So this is the latest transparency report. So we can see increasingly TikTok has adopted international practices following Google, Facebook, etc. Those so-called international platforms have been issuing transparency reports for a long time. So finally, TikTok has come on board. Okay, I'll just keep going. So we know TikTok has enjoyed high visibility among Australians of all ages. Michael and I, among other colleagues, conducted focus group research earlier this year, and we asked people to see whether they recognize some logos, Chinese digital platform logos, including TikTok. And lots of people actually recognize this logo and admitted using it. The older people may know about it without using it, but they know, oh yeah, we know that's TikTok. Even though lots of people don't know of its Chinese origin, of course, now things have changed. A growing number of Australians, young and old, have known a lot about TikTok. They know it's a Chinese platform, and lots of people have made profitable career on the TikTok as TikTokers or content creators or influencers through lots of deals, sponsorships, e-commerce transactions, etc. And I had actually talked to a couple of TikTokers earlier this year, including Ricky, this guy in the middle, and his grandmother, who's in her 90s. And they are actually very famous TikTokers, and they believe TikTok has given them abundant opportunities to explore their creative impulse. To use Ricky's own words, it is super fun, super interesting. I had no expectations, just wanted to get my creativity out into the world. Being a TikToker is a pathway towards the end, that is to prove my own values as a creator, to use my creativity in business. So he doesn't care. When I ask him about the Chinese origin of the platform or its algorithm, and he just, who cares? I'm happy that it is, for me, it's a local platform because TikTok since July has launched its PR offensive, and it has started its brand campaign since September. And its message is TikTok is for people, young and old. It celebrates the community, the content that people have created for the people, by the people. And so they hire the local talents where Ricky, people like Ricky, who was a salesperson at I think it was David Jones. Now he's a celebrity. He's a influencer on TikTok, and the platform also have adopted other localization platforms. So basically, TikTok has allowed Australian average users to make alternative career, to let it creativity out there on a very easy, user-friendly framework. And TikTok has also, made it much clearer in his governance practices. It has allowed Australian government officials to review its algorithms and test its own source code. as it seeks to overcome this distrust surrounding the video sharing platform. To summarize, we can say that TikTok is an international twin of the Chinese short video app Douyin, but it exists in very different markets with user data stored in different data centers and governed by radically different forces. But TikTok, of course, we know is not the only app, but the most successful app owned by ByteDance in its international operation. TikTok, we know, has a powerful algorithm that makes the right recommendations for the right consumers. It leverages AI, not just for the production of videos, but also for the delivery as well. As you can see from the dual wheel illustration. TikTok, we know, has a symbiotic relationship with Douyin. Their parallel platformization, I'm using the term of, Bondi, Chenxu, and others. They have a recent published article, fantastic, thank you, I enjoy reading that. So the parallel platformization of Douyin and TikTok meaning that they have very similar digital infrastructure, but they exist in different markets, as I mentioned earlier, and are supported by different governance mechanisms. So TikTok, but we also know that the Douyin, what happens in Douyin actually offers a window into the future of TikTok. There are lots of ways to monetize. You can monetize, make money on the platforms. Through brand deals, through live streaming, selling merchandise, or being discovered to become, famous to do other things of the platform. We know that on Douyin, there's a gaming function, which is lacking currently in TikTok. E-commerce, live streaming e-commerce particularly is hot on Douyin. However, it's underdeveloped. It's not yet. We don't see that yet in TikTok. In the Chinese companies, I think we need to watch out the future development of the social commerce on Douyin, on TikTok. But another thing is about, when we talk about TikTok, we talk about is a company, ByteDance. ByteDance is first of all it's a AI-powered tech company, and well, its tech capacity means it's going to develop many other things. So watch out for the new hardware and the software they are going to be produced by the company itself. So particularly in the area of gaming and grading. So when I say great gaming, gamers always look for specialized playing hardware powered by AI or AR or VR, some of which will be appropriate for the older generation to meet their needs and their convenience. And the more older people actually will be on the platform. If you look at the user profile on Douyin and the TikTok, there are more older people on Douyin than on TikTok. So the graying population on both platforms, meaning that the changing dynamic, the changing technologies are the areas that we need to look at, keep an eye on. Another thing about the TikTok is that, the content of TikTok can be consumed via other social media platforms. So you don't just always have to log on to the platforms to consume this content. Quite often you can consume this content via Twitter, Facebook, WeChat, etc. And the content actually can be cross-fertilized on Douyin and the TikTok. Okay, so Douyin, TikTok has been viewed as an enabling platform. If you have a search on TikTok, on Google Scholar, for example, you can see there are lots of writings about how Douyin has enabled content creators, digital entrepreneurs, marketing experts, teachers, activists, etc., to become content creators. Lots of them are actually not English speakers, and they have become digital entrepreneurs for their local markets. And the platform has enabled marketing experts to become influencer agencies. It provides a vibrant ecosystem for the influencer industry that functions as conduits of money, power, knowledge, and the politics. So I'm sure that Crystal's research on the influencer industry in Asia and Australia will shed more light on this. I look forward to hearing more of her talk and the talks from her team. So we also know during the COVID-19, TikTok has also been an effective public communication platform to convey public health message during the and also other public announcements about the virus by engaging with KOL or influencers. So in the case of India, for example, we know that it has been the platform, well, before it was banned, was a democratizing platform. It allows the poor, the non-urban women, the untouchable Muslims, and other religious minorities to become, to have adequate voice, to find some measure of fame, fun, and newfound confidence in the face of oppressive societies. It has also broke into the monopoly, the entertainment monopoly of Bollywood, and enables independent musicians to find a way to get their creations more curious listeners, and sometimes even recording labels. So, but at the same time, we need to recognize that TikTok is a dividing platform. So, as a dividing platform, it's at the individual level, we know it allows the unlikely creative class to be digital workers, while their digital labor has been explored at the same time. So if you look at from the political economist perspective, to look at how digital labor has been managed, and how the various forms of flexible work has been exploited, there's a lot about it. But even at the same time, we can say the use of digital labor actually are enabling at the same time. So this is a kind of a topic I'm sure lots of work in that field will shed light on. So I won't go further into detail there. But I just wanted a little bit to see a little bit more about at the industry level in a tech world dominated by the US and China. There's always a risk of formating a new division, digital and creative division, not only along the linguistic lines, particularly the English speaking versus non-English speaking influences, but also along the lines of wealth and power, which would result in increasing decline of developing countries and increasing concentration of talent and wealth in the digitally developed countries. Such a trend deserves our continued attention. So now just move on to the platform level. So of course there are legitimate concerns about the user-generated inappropriate content. So when we talk about TikTok as enabling platform, I'm not saying TikTok is just all good. As any other digital platforms, or especially user-generated content sharing platforms, TikTok is no exception in terms of inappropriate content regulation and management, particularly in relation to disinformation and hate speech, often related to sexual, religious, and violent content associated with far-right and other extremist groups and individuals. Then there's always concerns about content regulation, censorship by foreign governments. But we all know TikTok is no exception. It's just one of the problems that all digital platforms have to deal with. Now, at a geopolitical level, we know the TikTok saga actually, speaks directly to the explicit use and manipulation of technology as a political and diplomatic tool. And digital platforms are used as a core to the nationalist strategies known as Techno Nationalism. There we go. I'll skip that. I'll keep going to the Techno Nationalism. So Chinese Techno Nationalism is driven by the desire to develop indigenous technology, develop internationally competitive tech firms like Huawei, BAT, and ByteDance. It is a shared design. It's not just a desire from the political elite. It is shared among the industry, among the thought leaders, as well as the Chinese people, who have not only accepted the government's ban of Western tech firms and platforms and accepted content censorship via the Great Firewall, but also supported the country's high-tech revolution made in China 2025 blueprint and the digital diplomacy through its outbound digital platforms. Data, algorithm, and other technological components of platforms infrastructure have all taken on nationalistic features and links with the country's tech capabilities, and as a result, national security, economic prosperity, and social stability. As algorithm-driven social media platforms, backed with large-scale computational capacities, continue to make inroads into the realm of our daily affairs, they will inevitably arouse pride or unease or panic. The issue comes down to how comfortable people are with these technologies and technological systems and how ethically governed they are in data coding and algorithm engineering. It is largely a social and a political question, however much it may overlap with the technical. The global performance of TikTok, other platforms owned by ByteDance, and emerging hardware and software developed by the company or other Chinese tech companies is defined as much by techno nationalism as by geopolitics in platform strategies of nation states. So now I'll just quickly go through my other key point is about the platform strategy in geopolitics, particularly the country as platform strategy. Countries like China and the US have adopted the platform strategy in geopolitics by leveraging their digital infrastructure, technological standards, and unique points of control in the digital economy. A recent Brookings report has pointed out the digital Silk Road is China's bet on a country as a platform strategy. As part of its country as platform strategy, it has combined commercial interest and political interest. Digital champions like Alibaba, Tencent, and ByteDance have been strategically putting together the pieces of a digital infrastructure for trade and financial connectivity, a social commerce and social entertainment ecosystem, and an algorithm-powered content production model. Digital infrastructure includes data centers, cables, transmission towers, as well as platforms, algorithms, operation systems, financial transaction payment systems, etc. So platform strategy is not just about companies leveraging technologies and digital platforms to become network orchestrators, which encourages other players' active participation in one's own ecosystem of resources and operations beyond the national borders. It is also about setting standards and creating points of control. So we know China is leading the world in the way how, particularly on the global standard on 5G and beyond as a rule setter. And China is also establishing its own unique points of control in the digital economy. So China actually is said to be releasing a new policy paper called China Standards 2035. It's a plan to complement the Made in China 2025 Industrial Modernization Plan. So the new plan aims to set global standards for evolving technologies such as the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and 5G. With Chinese technological infrastructure dominating emerging markets, the 2035 plan would bake in China's standards in a large number of low and middle income countries, giving its companies a significant and perhaps permanent business advantage over their Western competitors. So TikTok actually represents a serious challenge to the Western, not just Western system of technological standards, but also the Western domination of finance marketing transactions. As an advertising juggernaut, ByteDance, among many other Chinese platforms and tech companies, are important nodes as well as disruptors in the global financial networks and infrastructure. TikTok and other Chinese platforms could fundamentally shift trade and financial flows toward a China-centric economic order, realign technological systems in the social governance through smart cities and social credit with a Sino-Fo standard, and even reshape political systems in participating countries. So the backlash against Chinese digital platforms and technologies is known as the Sino-Techlash. It is part of the current China bash trend. It is rooted in global geopolitics of technology and technological-driven systems. Involved in the global Sino-Techlash, TikTok is among a slur of Chinese tech firms before and after it when they internationalize. The cultures of TikTok are thus contextualized in such platform geopolitics. The rhetoric against TikTok reflects the fear and anxiety of the West and its allies about their own incompetency or lack of capacity to manage the geopolitics of platforms. This is true reason behind the smoke bomb of the global Sino techlash led by the US, which is masked by the moral panic. So TikTok, we know in the moral panic discourse about TikTok, it is always portrayed as the front of the CCP to harvest information about Western children and teenagers and to profile Gen Z for other political needs and aims. But the moral panic captures how right-thinking actors transmute deviant outsiders into potent sources of anxious indignation, and the social media and digital platforms are the targets, facilitators, and instruments of panic production, as represented by this tweet on the left. The average TikTok users, however, either don't care or has very little understanding of how apps work under the hood, as you can see from the other message on the right. The scrutiny of Chinese apps, of their data and the content regulation practices, is part of the arsenal of the great power rivalries, as we said earlier, which is meant to engineer distrust of China, Chinese government, the CCP, and the Made in China platforms. The latest Lowy Institute survey on Australians' trust in global powers has clearly illustrated the response from the Australian public. Their distrust in China is in a historical low. The recent events, particularly in the last couple of weeks, has made the things even worse. And I believe we will stay in the bottom for a while before things pick up again. TikTok's recent strife reflects more than the world's growing distrust towards Beijing's global ambitions and its platform strategy. It also reveals democracy's uneasy relationship with a new system of social media algorithms that is potentially reshaping how we consume, navigate, and interact with the information. Chinese tech companies have to find innovative ways to bridge the lack of trust. So now I'll come back to how the understanding of the cultures of TikTok. So we know China's global techno-nationalistic advances are a direct product of its systematic prioritization of the development of indigenous technology and national strategies towards developing a powerful tech industry. ByteDance is a product of techno-nationalistic China and of the ongoing international collaboration as well as competition in the development and the governance of data technology and the platform. The TikTok saga is not just about the debate about data privacy and sovereignty or the growing pain of Made in China platforms. It reflects the shifting dynamic in China's engagement with the world, the central role of technology in global geopolitics, and the perception of China and its soft power. It is about the digital tectonic shifts that we are witness to at the beginning of a new era. A era governed not just by economic systems and behavior, but also geopolitics of technology and the platforms. So I think when we look at the cultures of TikTok, or any other platform, we need to look at the different layers. So I have in mind today's talk, I have focused on the platform geopolitics, but there are other layers that we all need to consider when we actually try to fully understand the culture of a platform, including TikTok. So here I have listed platform practices as well, which includes governance of platform and by platforms, the capitalist logic, etc. You can add more there. There's a technological component, how we understand machines, algorithms of data, and how they are managed and designed, all part of the story. Social values, of course. So it's not just about cultural religious belief, but also the identity and the dynamic of local communities that you are talking about. Finally, the user. So the user agency is important. Their lived experiences of everyday life is important. Their human variables such as age, gender, sexuality, education, etc. They all matter, as well as the national politics, the political systems, the sense of freedom. All these matter, or they all shape how users view themselves and view their relationship with platforms. So as I said in the beginning of my talk, culture should be viewed as a consequence, not the cause, of the mega structure composed of machines, a governing structure decided by nation states, and the people who design, use, and govern the structure and the infrastructure. In other words, people, machines, and nation states are the three audiences of culture. The cultures of platforms like TikTok should be understood beyond the traditional factors. Actually, it must be examined within the framework of geopolitics of technology and the platforms. So now I come to the role of culture and technology, and how we have witnessed a return of the culture and the technology in the current era. So technological infrastructure and the geopolitics of platforms can shape culture at the levels of platforms, their country-specific and language-specific practices, while interacting with social values of each nation state or the markets they operate. Here we see the role of digital platforms as megastructure to unite technology, culture, nation state, and the people. In face of the geopolitics of platforms, individual users, as whether they are influencers or contributors or participate agencies, consumers or clients, have limited capacity and the resources to reinvent the cultures of TikTok. Politics always stand in the way of user choices of platforms, as we have witnessed in India. Geopolitics will keep interfering with the global competitiveness of Chinese social media platforms. And we are in the beginning of a new era. All right, I think I'll stop here to take some questions. Thank you.